Zero product property, what it does is it tells us if we have any number of things multiplied together and the answer is 0, then at least one of those is 0. Okay? So if you had x times y is equal to 0, then x could be 0 or y could be 0. So because we know anything times 0 gives me what? 1. 0. Okay? 0, you're thinking exponent of 0. Exponent of 0 is 1. But anything times something else and it answers 0, then one of them has got to be a 0. We're going to take the worst case scenario. We don't know for sure which one of them is 0. We're going to say, well, it could be either of them. So we're going to find the answer for both of those pieces. Okay? So what we're going to start with is a problem that's already in factored form. So something like this. X plus 3 and 2x minus 5 is equal to 0. It's already in factored form. They've already done the hard work. The factoring is the hard work here. The solving is the easy stuff. Okay? Once you get it factored and it's equal to 0, you got to have it equal to 0 and then you factor it. This one's already been factored. What you do is you take each factor, x plus 3, and set it equal to 0. And then you take 2x minus 5 and set it equal to 0. And you end up with two easy equations to solve. All you got to do is get x by itself in each of them. How do I get x by itself in x plus 3? Subtract the 3. X is equal to negative 3. That's one of our answers. How do we get x by itself over here? Plus 5. So that's 2x is equal to 5. Divide by 2. X is that fraction, 5 over 2. How many factors were up there? How many answers did we get? It goes together, right? Okay. Already in factored form, set each factor equal to 0 and solve. Even if it's like this, maybe we have 3x parentheses 7x. We know that those things that were multiplied together one of them had to be 0, one of the pieces. We're trying to find out what the x had to be to make that part 0. That's what we're trying to find. So like this one, 3x parentheses 7x minus 9 is equal to 0. That's already factored. They had got a problem to begin with that probably had 3x as a GCF, and they factored that out. How many factors are there? 3. Technically 3, the x, and then that other. We're going to count this one right here as just 1 because they're just multiplied together there. So I'm going to set each of those equal to 0. I'm going to set 3x equal to 0 and 7x minus 9 equal to 0. How do I get x by itself here? Divide by 3. 0 divided by anything is 0. How do I get x by itself on this other one? Plus 9. So that gives me 7x equals 9. Divide by 7. 9 over 7. Leave it as a fraction. 2 factors, 2 answers. Okay. Not hard, especially if it's already factored for you. Okay. You don't get a lot of those, but knowing that basic step there is the start of what we're doing here. Okay. What if it's not factored already? Like this one. Let's say we had something like x squared plus x is equal to 0. The key thing when it's not factored is to make sure that it's equal to 0 before you start. It has to be equal to 0 before you start factoring. If it's not equal to 0, we're going to have to move some stuff around to get it there. Okay? Is this one equal to 0?
Yes.
Yes. So we're ready to start factoring. So we're going to factor the left-hand side of the equal sign. Okay? X squared plus x. We're going to factor that. So we go through the steps of factoring. Is it in descending order?
Yes.
All right. Is there a GCF?
Yes.
Yes. What is it? X. They both are x's. What would that leave in the parentheses? X plus 1. Good job. Now, once I did the GCF, is there anything left to do on this one? No. What do I do with each factor then? Find x. So set x equal to 0, set x plus 1 equal to 0. Do I have to do anything to get x by itself on this one? No. I'm done with that one. Now, what do I do to get x by itself on this one? Subtract 1. So x is equal to -1. We got two factors. We got two answers. Okay? Not hard, right? We're going to get to a little tougher ones, but not anything crazy yet. Let's say we had, bless you, x squared minus 9x equals -20. That is not equal to 0. That's the first thing you should notice. Good job, Robert. So what do I need to do to get it equal to 0? Get it in descending order. Well, I got to get everything on one side to do order, right? So how do I move that 20 over? Add. Why do I add it? That's right. Because it's a -20. So I'm going to add it, and I'll cancel it out over there, and that's my 0 that it's equal to. Now, when I rewrite this left-hand side, I want it, like Ty said, get in descending order. So what goes first? X squared minus 9x. Don't forget your plus 20 that we moved. Plus 20 goes there. Now it's in descending order. It's equal to 0. I'm ready to factor the side that doesn't have a 0 on it. So what way do I factor that? X method, because it has how many terms? 3 terms, right? No GCF in 3 terms. So I'm going multiply to be 20, add to be -9. Ten times -1 would give me -20. Not. All right. If they're both negative, what do I need to use to get positive 20? I agree that they both should be negative, but -10 and -1 get it, or negative doesn't even give me 20. -10 and -2 would give me 20, but that adds to be -12. 5 and 4. -5 times -4, positive 20. -5 plus positive, or plus -4 is -9. So those are the right two numbers. X squared minus 4x minus 5x plus 20. Group it. So GCF of the first two. X, what's it leave in parentheses? X minus 4. What do I pull out of the second two? -5. Good job. That'll leave me x minus 4 in parentheses. My factors are then what? X minus 4 and x minus 5. Doesn't really matter what order you put them in there. What do I do with each of those to finish the problem? So we got the factoring part done. That's the hard part. The factoring is the tough part here. The solving should be the easy. What do I set up to solve? Equals 0 and x minus 5 equals 0. Solve each of those. Now, it should be an easy one-step thing. Add 4. X equals 4. Add 5. X equals 5. 2 factors, 2 answers. Okay. The factoring is the hard part. You get to the solving, it takes 2 lines to do. But the factoring is the part you've got to be able to do to get to that, to get to the easy part. It's kind of like in basketball. Breaking the full court press is the hard part. The layup at the other end is the easy part. Okay? Don't screw up the layup. Okay? Bless you. Yeah. All right. All right. Let's try another one here. x squared minus 43 equals 6.
That's right. It does not equal 0.
It does not equal 0, so we got to get that part done first. So what do I do? Subtract 6. If I subtract 6, is that a like term over here? 43 and 6 are both plain numbers, right? So I can put those together, right? So what's negative 43 minus 6? 49. So it'll be x squared minus 49 that I've got there. Is that in descending order?
Yes.
Yes. Is there GCF between x squared and 49? No. What's the method that I'm going to use for factoring that? It's got 2 terms. That's key because that tells us what to do what? Blank of blank.
Okay.
Difference of squares. What squared gets me x? What squared gets me 49? 7. So my factors are, we can rewrite it like that. That means it factors as x plus 7, x minus 7. Difference of squares. So that all of the factoring that we've done still in play here. So we set, what do we do with each of those factors? Set them equal to 0. Solve them. Minus 7. X equals negative 7. That's one of our answers. Plus 7. X equals positive 7 is the other answer. Since we're dealing with equations now, you can take your answers and plug them back into the original problem and see if they work. That's how you always check an equation. If you get an answer, you should be able to take it and put it in as x in the original problem and decide if it works or not. So if I put a negative 7 in there, negative 7 squared is 49. Positive 49 minus 49 is 0. Positive 7 does the same thing. So that one works for that. Do another one. Let's say we had x squared plus 8x plus 15 equals 8. Not equal to 0, so we're going to do what with the 8? Minus 8, subtract it. So x squared plus 8x plus 7 is equal to 0. Now we got it equal to 0. That allows us to start thinking factoring.
It's
got 3 terms. Is it in the right order?
Yes.
Is there a GCF with all 3 of them? Not all of them. So what method are we using? X method, because it's got 3 terms. What goes on the top? 7 had to be 8. 7, 1. There are no other choices for 7. 7 and 1. 7 plus 1 is 8. 7 times 1 is 7. Have y'all noticed something happening when there's a plain x squared? There's nothing in front of it. Have y'all noticed the pattern? That when I group that, x comes out and got an x plus 7 left. And in this one, I pull out a 1. X plus 7 is left. And I get x plus 1 and x plus 7. Look at the numbers here and the numbers in the side of the x. They're the same, aren't they? It's always the same. If there's nothing in front of x squared. If there's a number in front of x squared, they're not the same. But if there's nothing in front of x squared, technically there's a 1 there. But if there's no other number there, then you can take a shortcut and go straight from the x method down to your factors if you want to, just to speed you up some on that. If you feel more comfortable doing the grouping every time, Keep doing that. If you're getting them right every time doing that, that's fine. Keep doing that. But there is a little bit of a shortcut, but you've got to know when you can use it and when you can't. The only time you can use it is if there's nothing in front of x squared. That's the only time you can use that shortcut. But then you got to set each factor equal to 0. So x plus 1 equals 0, x plus 7 equals 0. Solve. X equals -1. X equals -7. Get those two answers out of it. It does not get any more complicated than what we've done. The key things are, number one, get it equal to 0. Number two is that descending order. Three, GCF. 4, count terms. Factor. And then the last thing you're going to do is set factors equal to 0. We're getting to stuff that takes a little longer. We've been in this class since August. About time we get to something that's a little tougher. Okay? This chapter may be the first chapter of things that you haven't done before. Completely. Some of the first chapter we did after Christmas you hadn't done very much of, but you'd done some of it. This chapter is probably the first one we've gotten to there you haven't done any of it before. Factoring you haven't done before, probably. Some of you may have done some of it, but not. Most of you have not. Definitely have not done to the extent that we're doing now. Okay, so get the thing equal to 0 first. On it. And then descending order, GCF. Count the terms. That tells you how to do it. X method or difference of squares are the ways you're probably going to end up doing that. And then set each of those factors you get at the end equal to 0 and solve. Step 5 is the easy part. Takes a lot of work to do the other 4 parts. Okay, those are the hard parts. Okay, so it's going to take